Hey, it's Rod Yates. Welcome to another episode of Humans of Music, a Jaxsta podcast. Each episode, I talk to a music creator or industry professional about their life and career, the ups and downs of their journey, and the lessons they've learned. And my special guest today is South African singer Moonchild Sanelly. Back in 2016, Moonchild wrote down a list of goals she wanted to achieve in the next 10 years. And they included things like collaborating with Beyonce, Diplo and Damon Albarn. She achieved those goals in half the time, singing on Gorillaz' 2020 album Song Machine Season 1 Strange Times, collaborating with Beyonce on the song My Power from The Lion King, The Gift soundtrack, and singing with Diplo on DJ Raybell's song Whole Night. Driven by an unshakable self-belief, an image that turns heads, and a genre of music that she calls future ghetto funk, which incorporates things like South African house, R&B, electro, pop, funk and rock, Moonchild Sanelly's rise from the South African city of Port Elizabeth has been nothing short of spectacular. She calls herself the president of the female orgasm and preaches messages of sexual positivity and emancipation, and her latest album, Phases, seeks to give a voice to women from all walks of life. She's a fascinating character who's led a fascinating life, and we talk about it all in this interview. When I caught up with Moonchild in late July, she was in Sydney touring in support of Gorillaz, which is where we started the conversation. So I was having a look. I saw your Instagram feed with the footage from the Gorillaz show.
Oh, yeah.
Which looked amazing.
Thank you. It was ridiculous.
How are you finding performing? I mean, that was a big crowd. Was it 15,000 people in there?
Yeah, it was 15,000. It was ridiculous. It was just like insane. The crowd's just ridiculous. Like, I was also like overwhelmed yesterday when I was watching the video, because it's like one thing when you're performing and then the people receiving all that jazz, and it's another when you're just watching it back.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's like you can't get what they get from it.
Right.
So it was just like yesterday I even had to take a walk and have a joint to just like calm down.
Yeah.
Because I was just like, whoa, bro, that's insane. Like, it's ridiculous.
Did it feel very natural though?
Absolutely. That's where I belong. I belong on stage.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very natural. You know, stage is my home, I feel. I just love doing it. And I love being nervous every single time. And then killing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But speaking about Gorillaz, so I thought one of the fascinating things is, if I understand correctly, you made a 10-year plan. Mm-hmm. And on that 10-year plan was to meet and work with Damon Albarn.
Yep.
And here you are performing with them, and you also performed on Song Machine, on the Gorillaz album, Song Machine. Yeah. What did that mean to you to tick off that goal that was on your 10-year plan?
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous and humbling. But I mean, when you write it down, you've got the intention of ticking the box, you know. And when it happens, it's like, okay, you need to write more, bigger, your next 10. And the most ridiculous thing is that it didn't even take 10 years, you know.
How long?
I don't know, but my 10-year plan still has some time. But I've ticked Gorillaz, Diplo, and Beyonce in it. So it's just like now I've got more to tick.
Yeah.
I've got another 10 year at this point. It was crazy because at that time it was as an independent and with just management. And now I've got a badass team, you know?
Yeah.
So I know those boxes are going to be ticked even faster than I thought.
Nice.
Know? So I just know it's going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, doing a 10-year plan though, that speaks of a real like focus. And a fierce determination to get to where you want to get to.
Yeah.
Who instilled that in you?
I remember when The Secret came out, because I'd already been writing and ticking boxes. And when The Secret came out, I basically had a name for something I was already doing. For instance, like, I mean, I was pregnant, I was broke, but I'd write down, I'll have a custard slice by end of day. I'll have, I don't know how the hell, but I'll tick the boxes. Then I remember thinking, wait, what if I wrote bigger? And then I started writing bigger. And then the Secret came out end of that year, 2008. And then I packed my shit and went to Johannesburg with 500 rands and a suitcase and a sewing machine. And
here you are. And then there's a lot that I want to talk to you about that journey, because it's so interesting. But just last thing on that 10-year plan, you mentioned that Beyonce and Diplo were on there. Both of whom you've worked with now. What did you learn from observing or from collaborating with Beyonce and Diplo?
You don't send your vocals. You send them on autotune in case the artist you're working with leaks them before they sign the non-disclosure. That's what Beyonce. So because like I know that's a part, but you don't hear it clearly, as you're writing, because I was being sent a lot of music, so I was writing to a lot like hooks or ad libs or whatever, to a point where I didn't even know which song I was going to make it to in the album.
Okay. This is the Lion King soundtrack.
Yeah,
yes.
It's the Lion King soundtrack. And then working with her, I mean, before I worked with her, what I always loved about Beyonce is her power of reinvention, being able to exist through generations and not lose herself and still run stuff, being able to celebrate newcomers and still shut it down as a queen, And with Diplo is a dance man of the world. So he's always collaborating with everyone. In fact, it's so nice because I go to his house in London and we smoke weed. Not in LA, and we smoke weed together. And we just make music without knowing where we're going. We just make music. And I really love it about him. He doesn't stop. He just doesn't stop. He works with everybody. And it's one of the things I really love doing as well, collaborating, because it gets me introduced to someone else's market as well as them to mine.
Right.
So it's always been a part of my strategy with regards to breaking into the world, I guess.
Yeah, got you. Did you instantly feel like you belonged when you started, were approached by Beyonce or approached by Diplo? Is there a sense of, yes, I belong here? Or do you have to prove to yourself that, I can actually match it with these people?
No, I belong where I'm at. I belong there. She loves what I do, And I grew up on her and I loved her, and this was a dream that came true. But belonging, absolutely. Proving myself, always, because it's new music all the time and you just have to kill it every single time. So I work my ass off over there.
Right.
I don't know if I've ever actually worked that hard in a studio session for a collaboration in my life, So there was definitely that.
Yeah.
But I remember I wouldn't be able to post things. Like I'll be in studio from like maybe 8 p.m. till like 3 a.m. and then I go past somewhere just to have a drink. But I wouldn't be able to post that because they're watching me 24/7. I've got something to deliver and I need the approval first to know, okay, we're moving on to the next song.
Right.
So that's probably, it's the hardest time I've ever worked in studio in my life for Beyonce.
Pressure. Wow.
Yes, it's the queen. I mean, if you had Michael Jackson in that time, it's that gag. If you had your Tina Turner, it's that gag. And then I got my Beyonce.
Nice.
Yeah. And then from,
And you've done things like that. And now you're in Australia touring with Gorillaz. And there's a song on your new album, Phases, that I think it's the first song called Favorite Regret. And it's got that line in there, which just watch me kill overseas.
Yes.
Has that...
And it's so crazy because on the set, we literally start with that song because it feels like a prayer to us because we're literally saying everything that's happening as we're living it. At this point, it literally, since performing the album, it just like gets me in a zone because I'm leaving my words.
Yeah.
And it's trippy, but it's trippy to experience something you knew you were going to experience or you wanted to experience,
Right.
It just gives us feels for days.
Yeah. But even before you kind of really made it in South Africa, you had that global outlook, right?
You wanted to get
overseas.
I've been touring 5 years, about 4 or 5 years outside before I made it commercially in South Africa, actually. So I belong, I'm a home, I'm a moon. A moon doesn't belong on one place. It's seen in the whole world and there's just one.
Right.
Yes, there's a lot of stars, but I'm the only moon. So as it should. I should be seen by the world globally.
But why was it important to you, other than wanted to be seen by the world? Why was it important to you?
I've always known that I was bigger than where I came from. I've always dreamt bigger. I've always expressed differently. Because I feel like from when I was young, I was allowed to express. In fact, expression was something normal to me. Because I get to realize now that I'm older, a lot of people have to rebel. They don't have the courage to. Their parents won't this and that. My mom put me in front of the camera when I was 6 months. 4 years modeling, then touring South Africa, doing ballroom and Latin dancing. So already I was thinking outside of my city. I've always known I was different. I've always owned my difference and I've always wanted bigger. Before I moved to Joburg, I wrote down that I'm going to do a couple of billboards in Joburg and then I'm going to move to London and then I'm going to move to possibly Japan and New York. Then I started performing outside a lot. And then I came back, I wrote down in 2016, February to August, I'm going to have 3 commercial hits in South Africa. I got 3 commercial hits in South Africa in 2017, ticked that box.
Right.
That amplified my outside. And then also opening for the Aart Verrips as well really did help as well. With anything that I was doing, it just got magnified. Anything I was doing independently got magnified because I used to do New York, Barcelona, Midem in France, in Cannes. I think it was 4. There was these 4 festivals I do every single year. And yeah, when the Aart Verrips hopped on, after that commercial success, it added to, you know what I mean?
Sure.
So it's always just been adding. I've definitely always seen myself as an international act from South Africa.
Yeah.
And I'm currently living it.
Yeah. Who instilled that hustle in you, though? That ability to hustle and that
hustle.
drive?
My mama.
Your mom.
My mama was a hustler. My mother was a hustler. I promise you. Like, she passed on when I went to first year in varsity. But if anything, like my siblings were fighting for furniture, all that shit, all her belongings. And I was just like, there's one thing she's given me, and I'm the last born from her. And I was like, there's one thing she's given me, which is the hustle mentality. And literally, even now, I'm the most successful child from her womb.
Right.
She used to tell me one thing. She knew I wasn't even like taught how to do like domestic things and stuff like that. She'd say, I'm not breeding you to be a wife. I'm breeding you to be a bad bitch. So if you don't like dishes, it's fine. You need to learn. I want you to be able to work hard enough to get someone to wash dishes for you. You don't have to like dishes, actually. You know, so I grew up with a mama who was like that.
Yeah.
And so me being my way, it's only the world that'll make you feel like you're different when you're normal to yourself. It's natural to be yourself. Where it's like, oh, where do you get the courage from? I'm like, I'm just myself.
Yeah.
That's not courage. But then I realized my ex, she used to say, please understand, you are artistically privileged. Because it was free. It's your upbringing. Your entire upbringing was in creativity. Even my house had a hip hop producing studio. My brother was a hip hop producer, and so you grew up in the space where it was normal to just be yourself.
Yeah.
The world is not necessarily geared up that way, and so it is. You speak from a point of privilege when you say it's not courageous to be yourself, because not everyone is taught to be themselves.
Yeah. So how does that then affect your role in terms of when you're talking to your audience and trying to accept the fact that not everyone has been brought up that way? Does that change the way that you approach your audience?
No, I'm just aware of that information, but it doesn't change the way I approach my audience because my music speaks to my audience.
Yeah.
In the album, I celebrate so many shades of women, and it's not necessarily what is deemed great in society. You know, for instance, I've got a song for side chicks who want to mark on married men. That's not Shannon. If it's who you are, you'll connect, you know, because how many people actually talk about that reality? I've got a song where a person will say you were a stalker, and you're not necessarily a stalker, but there's something that was evoked with that specific person, and you're married now to someone else, and that person doesn't know what this one says about you.
Yeah.
And owning that, we go through things sometimes, you know, sometimes we be catching too much.
Yeah.
Sounds like, you know, like, so there's just like, I speak to different women. Strip club, I was going to say. Yeah. Those are the hustlers paying for the education, paying for their children. You know, others just love dancing. Yeah. And it's just that. Not undermining that. Pull up to the strip club, you better pull up with them banks because it's the girls at work. And yeah, I just go.
Yeah. Did you have anyone doing that for you when you were growing up? Was there someone you could look up to who was providing that?
Really? People of the world. Oh, yes. I used to steal Spice Girl songs from the internet, the lyrics. And I think even my songwriting started there or something. I don't know. But I used to steal the lyrics. And then my friends didn't have internet access. They didn't have computers at home as well. They didn't have the subject at school. So I'd bring the lyrics and put my own melodies. And we called ourselves the Beps Girls. So... yeah, I definitely, especially, you know, I probably wouldn't say that first because I watched the documentary on my flight to Australia coming from SA, and I was like, oh snap, actually the impact is ridiculous because you're singing, everything is instant, but you don't know what's being instilled and all that jazz. And when I watched it, I was like, oh snap, it's also the same thing I always say that kids will sing along to my lyrics until they're in a situation where they have to run from F-boys. But it's fun to sing it now, right. But it'll make sense when you are in that situation if it doesn't yet. And if we can liberate, that's who you need to liberate as well, outside of the ones that are finding their freedom as adults,
Right.
Finding their voice. Because I always say, if you open your legs, you must open your mouth. Otherwise, you'll forever be a nut-busting hole and you'll never know what the word orgasm means.
Right. What is it? I think you've called yourself is the queen of
President of female orgasm.
President of the female
yes.
orgasm.
Please believe. You must speak, girl. You must speak.
What are your duties as president of the female orgasm?
Reminding women of their power, owning their sexuality, owning their bodies. Sexy is who you are and how you rock whatever you do. Sexy is not a size. Because the thing about it is, like, for instance, there's a song I did during lockdown. One of the singles, I did a lot of music during lockdown, but one of the singles was Standard Thighs. And on radio, they said they couldn't play it because I said thighs in Xhosa. And I was like, okay, so if you pull up the dictionary, it is amathanga in Xhosa. And so what is derogatory about that? Owning your body parts, you just want to own them in what's this, biology class? The anatomy.
Right.
Also, no, I'm not, no. Because you weren't going to complain if I was talking about the pancreas. The intestines.
Sure.
You weren't. But now, because it's a body part and what you do or how you see women's bodies, you're offended. And I'm just like, screw whoever is on that station. The song is for the people. Because everyone is feeling down. Everyone is depressed. People are losing their jobs. They're stuck at home. And we need a feel-good song.
Yeah.
And so I made that song and it went back on radio. Why? Because social media came in wild, where they were dancing to it, owning their bodies. Kids with their parents, all that jazz, singing it. And it was just like, here we go. This is the day and age where you cannot block our messages, especially when it touches the people. They'll find a way to find it.
Yeah. What did that mean to you to see that happen?
It meant the world. It meant the world because, I do write for what I wanted to hear also at home when I wasn't feeling safe, where they'll be like, oh, you're too fat or you're too skinny, where it just was never enough. And when you're older, I know this is people's issues who never had access to psychologists and all that jazz to unpack whatever they were brought up under, But as a kid, you don't know that. So there's times where I'd feel like I needed a song that just would, do that. But I had my mom, fortunately.
Right.
But I know that feeling. And just creating that for people to own who the fuck they are.
I don't know whether you described your mum or someone else described your mum as a celestially gifted woman.
Yes.
What does that mean? Right. What does that mean?
She had the gift, she had the calling. And so she used to see stuff before it happens. Like, I grew up under her, literally just being that person. It's not even in theory. And so there for me, I feel like also it adds to my being intentional with how I move and how I write things down, because I know of the world not just being this.
Yeah. And she was a jazz singer?
Yes.
Okay.
She used to be a backing jazz vocalist. And then she had a jazz tavern.
Yeah.
Where all the hustlers would go. I remember in matric, I had like this designer dress because her other friend who used to go to, who she met there, was a top thief married to a cop. Like, all the hustlers, let me tell you something. I used to, like, even like the guys that were in the closet, they come out when they're there.
Yeah.
To a point where when I met them, they were confidently gay. It was eclectic.
Yeah. And so you grew up around that. Did you go to the, what was it?
No, I didn't go to the tavern.
You didn't go to the tavern?
I was never even sent to buy cigarettes. I was very sheltered. So what I would go to school, go to rehearsal, go home, homework, school, rehearsal, homework, weekends, wake up, create an outfit because I don't want to go out looking like everybody else. Then go do nothing. Just go be with my friends after sewing an outfit. Okay. And because I got to a point where I was ripping all my clothes, and then she started buying me fabric because she started having to hide all my new clothes. It's either I give away to my to kids in my neighborhood so that I don't feel like I'm the only one dressed well. And she'd be like, no, you can't feel bad about having access to beautiful clothes. You love them. I do them for you. So don't feel bad. You can't be now giving your clothes to every Tom, Dick and Harry just because you want them next to you. No.
Right.
That was basically her saying you don't have to dilute yourself to be, So being different was also that. Like, I was also, if she saw me walking behind a group of friends, even just to buy sweets, she didn't give a fuck what the reason was. She just would say, you never walk behind, you never follow. You are leading, or you're walking next to the person leading, knowing how to lead.
Wow. So
it made sense also when I was growing up and realizing that I've always just been a rebel with a cause, actually.
Yes. Wow, she really instilled some incredible values in you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Even with the body. I remember I went to a Muslim school for English because she couldn't afford a private one. And so subconsciously as a kid, you get influenced. So in summer, I'd be wearing a vest. She'd be like, no, you're a kid. Go wear a vest and shorts. Own that body.
Right.
I took you there for English.
Because at the
not for the religion.
At the Muslim school, you'd have to cover up, is that?
No, I didn't have to cover up at school. But the kids are covering up. CVs there, you see. As a kid, you take in things, especially in your environment. You spend a lot of time in school. So she just like, wear your shorts, wear your vest. You're a kid. You're there for English. Focus. Like,
yeah,
on that body.
How did you fit in at school?
As I say, I was sweet. I shone when it was talent show because I'd be the choreographer for the group.
Right.
And when it was speech and drama and creative writing, I'd always make the most feared English teacher laugh. And he'd always get me there first. I wasn't even trying to make them laugh, but how I always wrote was just funny somehow. So those are So I was chilled. If I was in detention, it was for talking.
Oh, talking too much.
Mm-hmm. It was just for talking or cracking rubbish. So I was pretty sweet.
Right.
I didn't like boys like that, but I did have crushes. But I never dated. I used to watch a lot of porn. And I found it stupid for the girls who were having sex to not know the terms in sex. I was just like, how are you engaging in something you don't even understand?
Yeah.
But it was just more like they don't know what a cork is. They don't know like, oh, pass my pussy.
Yeah.
They don't know all that shit. They just having sex. So I was just like, that's dumb. So I just watch it, but it never made me curious about sex. I learned more about it though.
Right. So that was your sex education?
That was my sex education.
Right. How old were you when you started watching porn?
Because I matriculated at 16. So in high school, because I mean, everyone else was older. Everyone was having sex, all these convos and everything. So I definitely knew about it.
Yeah.
From maybe 14, 13, I don't know. When I started discovering my brother's stash.
Right.
So I'd put this fairy tale book by the TV. I come home, put the fairy tale book, lock the front and the back. And then when someone comes through, I'd say, go round. So that I can take the fairy tale book, take the VCR, run, go put it in my brother's room under the bed, lock, then put the kitchen door key back because I realized the kitchen door key opened his room too. I didn't tell anybody though.
Right.
So then I'd have to get people to go around twice so that that entire thing happens. But his door is also loud. So I have to do it as quiet as possible, but as fast as possible. It was impossible. So they'd have to go around for the second time. So first knock, go around, and then I take the thing. Then I run. Then they knock at the van, go around. That gives me time to open that noisy door, slide it back in, lock, put it back. Oh, I couldn't find the key. It was such a mission. Like, let me tell you something. Yeah, I know.
I love it. And so you mentioned that choreography was something you do at school. And because as you mentioned earlier, I think ballroom dancing was something that you toured South Africa.
Ballroom and Latin.
How old were you when you were touring South Africa doing that?
In primary school, I was very young because I went to high school at 12. So 11, 10, 9. Because I stopped dancing in my first year of high school. My mom was just like, it's too far. It's getting dark. Your homework's getting hectic. You're in high school. Da, da, da. So I was like, okay, cool. I don't know how I got it, but I got the community hall to open up for me to teach the people in my community. That's why I'm just like, I've always been a hustler though.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. So I'm this kid and I'm teaching everyone. I promise you, I went to drummies class once. The other day I came back from school. The street was full with everyone carrying a broom for me to teach them drummies. So also just knowing that power you have on people.
Yeah.
Slowly when you pay attention, you're like, what? Okay, I'm teaching. That I've always wanted to exercise. And I think that's when exercising it in my words, exercising it, performing live, exercising it, but also touching people. And I guess that's the form of exercise. That's the exercise.
Yeah. What's drummies?
Drumming, the major, they do the spinning of the thing.
The twirling of the baton.
And then they're wearing,
Gotcha.
it's not cheerleaders, like the drum band, the marching band in America.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I did drummies. I just went to one class and I was teaching.
Okay.
Let me tell you something.
But what about singing though? So your mum's a jazz singer. Did you sing with your mum? Would you ever sing together?
No, not really. No, not really. Honestly, it's not like no memory like that.
Okay.
Just probably just humming whatever is there. I don't know. We've never
Sure.
No.
Okay.
With the singing.
Yes.
So she used to organize the gigs. So I teach the choreography, takes the Spice Girls songs, put my own melodies because they don't even know the lyrics.
Yeah.
They just know the stuff on radio. The singing was also it was probably more in high school because it was mostly dance in primary.
We'll be back with more from Moonchild Sanelly after this break. Welcome back to Humans of Music and my interview with Moonchild Sanelly. In terms of you listening to music, so your grandmother was very into gospel music, is that correct? So
Oh,
there was a
yes,
lot of gospel.
force, church child. You wonder why we don't go when we're older. It's just like, I'll be on my knees by my bed, thank you. Because God hears me. It was there. It was just there on Sundays. And then you knew all the songs.
Yeah.
And then you go to church and then my grandmother's, my kids, my dad's siblings, my aunts, they're the lead singers there.
Okay.
With the super high soprano, like solid.
Yeah.
And so it's definitely a huge part. Gospel, kwaito music. My cousins at my grandmother's house as well, they used to dance for all the Joburg people that would come to my city because they would win all the dance competitions. So they were rehearsing all the time.
Okay.
So kwaito music was also just there. You knew all the latest songs.
Right.
And then my mom played the jazz and then hip hop in the studio in my house as well, my mom's house.
Because your brothers were hip hop producers.
Yeah.
Right. So you've got this whole incredible assortment of music just informing you and I guess making music almost genreless for you. Just music is what you want.
Because this is before I even then started experiencing my own things. Because of course I was doing Destiny's Child. If we were Destiny's Child, I'd be Beyonce. But I had a friend of mine who was lighter than me. She'd want to be Beyonce. I'd be like, okay, well, sing. Then they couldn't reach the notes. Then I'd be Beyonce. So yeah, no.
I love that. Can then fast forward however many years and you're actually working with Beyonce. That's incredible.
Let me tell you something. Hey, I'll tell you also, Gorillaz, literally my first fashion show was to Gorillaz music.
Right.
From fashion school. It was to Gorillaz music. My final, in fact. And in fact, when I moved to Durban to study, to go to varsity, my brother gave me an iPod that had Gorillaz, that had Theatre of the Mind, Ludacris, that had Avril, Scared Girl, that had... Who else did it have? These are the ones I listen to the most.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you were 17 when you went to Durban.
Yeah.
I think. So quite young to move away from home and to study fashion. So fashion, is that where you thought your career would go, into fashion?
It could go anywhere because I was a creative and my mom now was seeing how much I was just making stuff. There's this dress I just made out of her dress. She was just like, okay, fine, go to fashion school. Because I think I would have fought for drama if I wanted that. I would have fought for studying music if I wanted that, type of thing. So, and the fashions really helped in establishing my my image. Because I think it, I make it, and I have it. This is before I even made money. I'll take your curtain and I'll make a badass outfit. So this moon mob, me being able to have a patent to the hair, having created my own hairstyle, it's that, having the skills in the hands. So I think it was a good move.
Absolutely.
I know it was a good move because one thing people struggle with is image.
Right. And you established, is when you were in Durban, is that when you established your image?
I just got more freedom to make because now I had more skill.
Okay.
I'd always just been making.
Yeah. So moving from Port Elizabeth, where you grew up, to Durban, is that a big move? How do they compare in terms of size and?
Durban was bigger. It was faster than PE, and I knew I wasn't going back. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And when I moved to Joburg, I knew I wasn't going back to Durban. It was faster. I think I'm here for the pace. I'm here. I love being on my toes.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's a part of me, man.
Yeah. But so you're 17, you're in Durban, and I think you were 17 when your mother passed away as well. So you're away from home, and this incredibly important person in your life is no longer with us.
Yeah.
How did you cope being away from Port Elizabeth, but also coping with that loss?
It was ridiculous. I remember at her funeral, I was a photographer. And I bought a camera so that I could be distracted. And so I was a photographer at a funeral. And then I went back to school. I remember I ended up being SRC. And I remember my fine art lecturer was like, you're a bit too normal for someone who's lost someone so integral, in their lives. And then she gave me a book to mourn. How to mourn? Learning how to mourn.
Okay.
Yeah, it says learning how to mourn. I think it was learning how to mourn. It was Miss Pippa. She gave me that book, then I checked it out. But I mean, I'm a kid, so I'm just like, whatever. So I think I just have moments when I was alone. Because the first mistake they made was saying I was the strongest out of everyone. And I was the youngest. And I'm just like, okay, now I'm strong. Then I remember they said, don't cry. When they just told me, they said, don't cry. The neighbors are going to think something's wrong. And I was like, okay. Then I just never cried. Then I saw therapy. Then I was bored every time I'd cry, move to another one. Every time because I'd be like, nah. Then, yeah, I think over the years, I've just have to find ways. But I mean, I do see therapy. I've got therapists now. But over the years, I've had to,
Sure.
And in some point, I'm just like, it's so crazy because I feel like if she was alive, I wouldn't have run away from home to go hustle and eventually win through whatever I've gone through. I probably would have gone home, which will probably mean I wouldn't be here because I'd have a safety net.
Right.
So it's almost like she had to die for her to bless me in a bigger way, in spirit, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Does that feel like a responsibility for you then to live up to that?
I don't have to live up to anything. I already am a lot to live up to on my own, in my own head.
Sure.
If anything, I know not to have to live for people. For instance, when I moved my kids, I've always said, I'm not going to go work at a call center for me to teach them survival. I'm going to have to make it work in my dream for them to know their existence is paid for through me living my dreams and them coming true. So when I'm dead, they know everything is possible and no one can change their minds.
Nice. That's amazing. And it's while you were in Durban, I believe, poetry. You got involved in the poetry scene there. Well, how did that, do you think that's informed the way you write lyrics?
Absolutely. Definitely, because I'm still a storyteller. And the difference is the beat.
Right.
That's why it's genreless for me to create.
And hip hop as well?
Yes.
You also moved into the hip hop scene in
So I went
Durban?
from the poetry scene, and then on Fridays they'd have this hip hop situation. So I'd go there to the open mics there. I'd lie and say I rap, sing and win. I chased some lyrics. I just like, yep. And then I wanted more. And then I went into the jazz space. That's when I'd open up for Mabusi Mhlongo, Matala Gunenes. And then from there, I wanted to create my own thing.
Yeah.
I was just like, nah, everything feels safe. It's been done. Like, I need my own thing. And that's when I did Red Eye. Red Eye was the first from what I'd seen in my head that came to life. It was, it was an electronic song. And I had the visuals in my head. I had the story. And I wrote it down, but I didn't know anyone who would hear what I meant or how I wanted it to come out. And fortunately for me, the person I was working with, Catalyst, he was like he's like a nerd. He's the maths and science teacher at the time. Right now he's in gaming. And he was making music the whole time. So he was exposed to even more than our environment,
Yeah.
So he got me. Then he created it. I was like, I see beams. I see like, and then he just created it. And that's when You Should Get a Funk was born, 2007, Red Eye.
Yeah. And so is that your debut single, effectively?
No, it wasn't a single. It was in the album that I was creating.
Right. Okay.
That only came out in 2015 because all those years from 2007, I was like, what the hell is this music? What is it?
Yeah.
And for me to, it got to a point for me to perform, I had to create my own gigs.
Yeah.
Because I didn't fit anywhere.
Right. And how did you do that? How did you hustle to get your own gigs?
I'd get a venue and throw a gig, get the door. Even in Joburg, that was my hustle for rental. I'd go to Kitchener's, hustle, get the gig, get the venue, get the gig.
Nice.
There's no job I've ever gotten online. I have to personally be there. I'm very charming.
And you've created Future Ghetto Funk, your sound by this point, in around 2007. So when did you move to Johannesburg?
In 2011.
2011. And that was, again, to follow music? To follow
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Because at this point now, I'm like bumping. I'm like, first of all, it's not like they pay you the most in Durban. You have to go. You have to go to the money hub, Joburg.
Yeah.
So I needed more.
But you said,
so I left.
I mean, you said that you turned up there with 500 Rand and a sewing machine. And I think 500 Rand is about $30 US and about $50 Australian. So not a lot of money.
No.
So you arrive in Johannesburg with that much money. What do you do?
I went to a client who used to come party in Durban and buy clothes from me. So every time she went to that party, she wanted clothes from me, by me, because she'd always feel different. Then I was like, she'd also always say, you're too big. You're bigger than this place. Like, you need to go. I'll help you start up if you need accommodation. But I know you're a hustler. You need to go.
Yeah.
So I went.
Yeah. But then, so you made clothes for this person?
I got a job on my third day in Joburg.
Okay.
Even there, I walked in. It was Quicksilver.
Ah.
So I worked at Quicksilver. I was a Roxy girl. So I worked there, and then I remembered I had to go back to Durban to go open up for this jazz musician. And that was more money than I was going to make in a month. I quit again. I left. I went to Durban.
Yeah.
Stayed there December, hustled. And then I came back. I didn't move to Durban.
Okay.
Because it was also December season. So it was holiday season.
Sure.
So I don't have a job to run back to.
Yeah.
And I've got a gig here.
Yeah.
So I did Ernie Smith and then I went back to Joburg. Hustle.
Yeah.
Then when I went back, I had met someone else in Durban who liked my energy, was on a holiday, who stayed in Joburg. So now I had accommodation there. Then she wanted to invest in my fashion, all that jazz. I got sewing machines. And then when the dates were, that never happened. All we were doing was making us look good the whole time.
Right.
But for me, I had accommodation.
Yeah.
So I think I was paying my rent with the dresses.
Okay. Okay. That sewing machine was important. That was an important
that sewing
thing.
machine was important. That's why I know with Moonchild Culture, my fashion brand, what I want to do is I want to teach in high schools, like especially rural ones where kids don't even have access to just apply for a bursary or access to just varsity, where they know they have to matriculate and go find a job. Empowering them, because for me to be able to go with that machine is me knowing that I can always make clothes. Call someone, I'm like, oh, I've got a dress. If they want it, I'm going to go buy fabric, make the dress so I don't work at a loss. But if they don't want it, I didn't make a loss.
Yeah.
So just empowering them to know that the power is in their hands, because then they can get into interior designing, they can get into fashion designing, they can get into hair designing, they can get into so many different things from just being empowered.
Sure.
So my fashion's ultimate, outside of brand collaborations and all that jazz, is teaching. I think I'll actually have a fashion school for just the last 2 years of high school.
Nice.
So that you just know skill, giving you skill. That's more empowering than giving you a job.
Yeah. Wow. That's incredible. And so when does music start to happen for you in Johannesburg? When do you start to get some momentum and things start to work for you? Yeah.
I worked in an art gallery. That person was friends with an Afrikaans musician, Ampi Omo at the time. And then we collaborated, but I don't know what happened to that. So it was somewhere online.
Sure.
Then hustle. Then I started, starting to make them. In fact, the first album, I just recorded a few other songs, because the first album I ever made with a feature Get a Funk only made sense to this one not this one person. It made sense to the guy I was working with, who was part of a rock band at the time, which made sense. And he helped produce the rest of the album. But we were just recording the whole time. We were just recording. And I was on the live shows. So it started with, when there's a live show, I'm just like, I leave nothing to chance. So I'd go with a beatboxer. I don't know what my set is going to be, but I'm just going to be on that stage. So then I'd be tagged by like people I loved growing up as well, who were there, you know. I remember a couple of times where I feel like that person was trying to manage me, was sabotaging me, because he'd be like, you're playing tonight. And then I get there. And then he's like, oh, the drums aren't working. And I'm like, don't worry, I got a beatboxer. Then we take the show. So I've always stayed ready for whatever bullshit you might give me in general.
Yeah. And that first album, that's Rabulafa? Is that in 2015?
Yes.
How was it accepted? Because I've seen you say, I think in past interviews, that in South Africa, they're scared of things that are different. How did that affect you then when you released that record? And
I mean, there's one festival, they threw bottles and I said, you know what? You're going to love me. I'm the baddest and I'm going to be big. While ducking bottles. They literally had to fetch me off stage because I wasn't moving. I'm stubborn as well.
Yeah.
I was like, I ain't scared. This is how many years ago? This is probably the year that album came out, actually. And it was the first black crowd I had in a stadium.
Right.
Then they threw, because I'm talking about sex. Nah. And over time, like your humor sakelas would have me on their festivals and some teach them. So now the people I grew up under, people even my mom loved, they saw, but they also were international.
Yeah.
This also shows the part of where they also were seen in a certain light until they were seen by the world and then taken back and celebrated, you know.
Right.
They know exactly what it is that I'm going through in that country, as different people from that country who represent that country.
Yeah.
You know, so I guess it's one of those things, like the Matrix, we see each other.
Right.
No matter the you know?
Yeah.
No matter the age.
Yeah. And so is there a pride in South Africa now for what you're achieving? Are people in South Africa proud of to see you?
They don't understand how.
No?
They don't understand how. How am I doing all this stuff with this blue hair and my bums? Because that's all they see. So that's why I just make them dance. But the dancing, I always have the empowering message in there.
Right.
It's just that I just choose the right beats, do the right collabos, I feel like when I write for the South African audience, I sonatize an emotion. Keep it short and connect the most.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's a freedom to looking globally as well.
Absolutely. I'd freaking suffocate.
Yeah.
I would suffocate.
Yeah.
And my advantage is the fact that I can do everything.
Yeah. So in your songs, you're great at giving the voice to people like the strippers, for example, and the side chicks.
Yeah.
What about giving voice to your own issues? Are you as comfortable, I guess, looking inward and using your music to exercise any things that you need to get through as well?
My stories start with me.
Right.
I get the full story by adding other people's experiences in it, because we all go through the same things. I write from, like, it's me. I don't just write. I love strippers. It's because I work with strippers that I can speak from their point of view. I host parties with strippers. Some strippers had jobs during lockdown because I was having private parties. I liberate, so I know that space personally as well. Over you, that was in my relationship. I was basically saying it to the person I was dating at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I finished the album and I finished the relationship as well. I'm single now.
Yeah.
I write, it starts with me. It always starts with me.
Right, okay.
And I think with this album, because of lockdown, it's actually afforded me time to actually be able to write songs like Bird So Bad, because it's always like go, capitalize rock. Because things is moving, and if you're sleeping, it's gonna go,
Yeah.
And now lockdown was like, chill. So I remember, like, the album, I started it in the beginning of lockdown where we weren't even allowed to be outside. So we just get Airbnbs.
Yeah.
And the label would send me beats. Even before the label sent me beats, I just called the producer. I was like, I want to start now.
Yeah.
Then he came to the house, he set it up. And then by the time I told the label, I was like, actually, I need to buy the studio equipment stuff and have it here instead of having to call him to bring his. I want my own I want to start. Then they started sending me beats and stuff like that. So we'd go to an Airbnb, get a big one, set up, disappear from each other as long as the music's playing. And if something comes up while I'm in bed, it's just like music is just going. The beats are just going.
Right.
And so things can just, you can evoke something instead of forcing something.
Yeah.
So I had all the time. So even when I was going through the relationship stuff, I had all the time, It's just that my stories aren't mine alone anymore.
Right. So that time gives you time to explore vulnerability, for example, in a song like that you just mentioned. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Just a couple more things. There's so many genres on the album, and you're also incorporating, and you're probably going to need to help me with my pronunciation here. Com, right? and Amapiano.
Yeah.
Which is sort of South African house music.
Definitely South African dance.
So how did you pronounce com?
Com. So com is, so you take your tongue and you slide it on your roof of your mouth.
Yeah.
Slide it back down. Com. There you go. I'm good at this.
Teaching again. But you also sing some of the lyrics in, is it Xhosa?
Xhosa.
Xhosa.
So Xhosa, you say it's like you're taking something out of your teeth, like Xhosa.
Okay. Is it important to you though to incorporate that parts of your heritage in that music?
It's just who I am.
Yeah.
I speak in Konglish, which is a combination of Xhosa and English, which is very street South African if you come from a Xhosa region.
Right.
I just speak how I write how I speak. What I definitely am intentional about is I don't necessarily put clicks in my hooks, because I always imagine myself singing a song for the first time and you being able to sing along without even understanding what I'm saying, because it's palatable. So that's when in my global experience, something I've known over the years, that it's just like, I know my hooks, that my intention is I always pretend, okay, imagine performing the song for the first time. You don't feel like you're performing alone and the audience can join.
Right.
And that's what I'm very intentional about. And my Xhosa is in everything. Even if the hook is the Xhosa, you can say, where my man. Other people say, where's my man? Where's my man? And it's just like, when you look at the mouth,
right,
it's the same. So I'm very intentional with that. I'm very conscious of it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I never want to leave my audience out, whether you're meeting me for the first or the last time, or if you see me again.
Right. Okay. Last couple of things, just in terms of your branding and your image. Mm-hmm. So you've got an alcohol brand, is that?
Oh, yes. A bottle of whiskey.
So what's involved with that and what's it called?
It's a Scottish Leader. It's a collaboration between myself and Scottish Leader. So it's a limited edition. And my bottle is sherry cask brewed whiskey. So it's got the sweetness. It'll trap you. Like, I have one. I go, whoa, bro.
But
Then we've got it's a Scottish leader, Moonchild, sherry cask brewed.
okay.
Whiskey.
So you've got that. You mentioned earlier that you want to start a school where they can teach. So you patented your blue hairstyle.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got a very keen business acumen. And you mentioned earlier. So did you go to a music business school, or this is all just learned stuff through the hustle? Is that where
Through
this
the
has all
hustle.
come about? Okay.
It's literally through the hustle.
Did you have any mentors or anyone that you could look up to, or as someone who'd done this and you could go in their footsteps, or someone who gave you advice?
Not really.
No?
Mm-mm. I remember in fashion school as well, when I found out about Vivienne Westwood, I was just like, badass. Because they always say I'm the black Vivienne Westwood. I'm like, who's that? It must be a badass though. And then I'll be like, oh my goodness. Okay, hell yeah, I love her.
Right.
But I've never had like someone I've followed.
Okay.
Because I've always felt like if I'd look at there's so much more now because there's so many of us in fashion, like where people are expressive and all that jazz. But in my time, it was like, I need like edge. I need like,
Yeah.
And I wasn't seeing that. Like even people on TV, I wasn't seeing that edge, but the antwoord.
You're right. Okay.
Until I saw the antwoord.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Wow.
And I remember even touring with them. They tagged me when we partied together for the first time before the tour, discussing the tour, and then we partied. And they saw a message I'd sent 2 years ago that we'd make some badass music. Like, I really love with you. I love you guys. 2 years later, they had come for the tour. They had never seen that message.
Right.
Then they read on some, oh shit, Mooney, you've been loving us.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's written.
And
So even with that, social media, I knock on doors, and it's the day I get it that you're going to realize I've been wanting it.
Right. Okay. Someone else you collaborated with recently was Nile Rodgers.
Oh my God, what a rock star. He's so dope. He's such a dope person.
What was it like? Were you actually with him, or was it done by sending each other
Virtually.
files?
Yeah, we did it virtually. The video, I was with him.
Okay.
We met at the music video, and then we also met at the interview the next day.
Right.
He's beautiful. He's so sick. And shout out to Nakani. He's the one who put me on the song. He was just like, I needed the song to just be everything, and I needed you in it. And Nakani and I have also always wanted to work together, but it's just not, we never forced it.
Okay.
And we've always loved each other,
Yeah.
And so it's just so crazy. It's just crazy.
Sure.
It's just crazy.
Very last thing, Jaxsta is all about giving credit where credit is due. Mm-hmm. Are there people you give credit to for helping you get where you are today?
Absolutely. I'll start with Catalyst from creating my sound. My first baby daddy from connecting me to Catalyst to create my sound. So shout out Rowan. Then another impactful one. Nzo, my first management that I got paid to perform. Same one took me to the artist way as well.
Right.
Then it was like people who invest, Carl Anderson for hearing and seeing what I was seeing of myself. Then shout out to Sarah Jane. She stole my money, took me to court after that. But she introduced me to Lauren Roth, the Wolf, the baddest bitch, my manager.
Okay.
Because Lauren and I have been going wild to even getting transgressive. So I've got a team that gets me, I've got a team. I've got a dream team.
Moonchild, thank you so much for taking the time.
This is so fun. How long did we go for? No way. 1 hour.
About an hour, yeah.
Okay. Feels about right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. This was awesome. You actually just woke me up. I was awake. You woke me the fuck up.
And that's it for another episode of Humans of Music. A big thanks to Moonchild for her time, and thank you for listening. Just a reminder that Moonchild's latest album, Phases, is out now. This episode was mixed by Lachlan Mitchell from Parliament Studios in Annandale, and the incidental music and theme song were written and performed by Sam Lockwood. Please remember to subscribe to the Humans of Music podcast so you never miss an episode, or even better, share it amongst your friends and rate and review it. And remember, next time you need to know who wrote a song, who produced a song, who engineered it, who played on it, who sang on it, who did anything on it, head to jaxsta.com for all your official music credit information. Until the next episode of Humans of Music, I'm Rod Yates. Thanks for listening.